Today on Roundtable, labor in our community. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Roundtable, Labor in Our Community. I'm Mark Carr, and today's special guests are Dave Millar, President of the Oakville and District Labor Council, and Edie Strachan. That's the Gaelic version of it. And she is president of OPSEU Local 506 and also participates in the Provincial Women's Committee, correct?
Yes.
Great. Now, tell me, and this is a toss-up for whoever wants to answer it, what is it that the general public doesn't really understand about labor?
I'm sitting back here thinking you were going to pick it up. Labor, I mean, labor as a whole, we're out there and everybody puts us in the basket that we're all anarchists, we're all trouble. We're out here trying to do the best for not only our members in organized labor, but we're trying to bring everybody's standard of living up to a higher level.
So it is community, not just labor community. It's the entire community, right?
Yeah. You know, I think a lot of people have the views, like Dave was saying, you know, the business unionism, the grievances, the picketing, all that kind of stuff. But there's a very large movement for social unionism. And that's where, for example, wages. Everybody deserves a good job, right? For example, my union members, most of them make more than $10 minimum wage. I think it's $10.25 now. Our unions contributed to that because everybody in Ontario deserves to live in dignity and be making a fair wage, right? So that's a part of that.
And so just on the wage aspect of it, most people just see you fighting for those wages and what happens when there's a rift between the union and business. But you're very much in tune with the general community, aren't you, Dave?
Very much so, Mark. I mean, I come from the CAW. I'm a representative of the Canadian Auto Workers Union, and what we do is we try to make so that everybody in our community is raising the bar. Now, within our union, we've lost. Ford Motor Company. I work for Ford Motor Company. Ford Motor Company 5 years ago had over 17,000 employees across Canada. At this time next year, we'll have less than 5,000 employees working for Ford Motor Company. A lot of that has to do with government regulations, but people sit and point the finger and say, look at those greedy union guys. They're overpaid. They've got too many benefits. Their wages are too high. When we go to bargaining, we don't just sit and think, what can we get out of bargaining to make our...
You look for that just immediate return. You look at the long-term ramifications and benefits that everybody's going to derive.
That's right. I mean, we have bargaining teams that go out, and within the auto structure, we do not strategic, but we do our pattern bargaining. So we pick which one of the three big three auto companies.
Or now the bottom three.
Well, they're now the Detroit three. They used to be the big three. Now we're the Detroit three. But between the Detroit three, we sit and say, what are we going to be able to get the best agreement for all three companies out of? Ford right now is the most profitable. Would it be best for the CAW or the UAW to go after the most profitable at bargaining time, or would it be better to go after one of the middle ones to see that you can get the same agreement across GM, Chrysler, and Ford Motor Company?
But Dave, now that they're no longer the big three, doesn't that put them at a disadvantage as opposed to Honda, Toyota, and so on?
Well, there's an argument on both sides, and the way I look at it, Honda and Toyota don't have a union in place. They've done that strategically. They give their employees what we get through our bargaining process. When we had to go back and open up our contract in 2009 because of the economic recession, Toyota and Honda made cuts across the board without going back and discussing it with the people that work in that company. So it was a unilateral decision that was made without discussion or negotiation from the people that work there. To our benefit, we have a collective bargaining process. Yes, we did lose on benefits. Our wages were frozen. Our COLA has been frozen until 2012. So with everything advancing since 2009, the cost of living has been incredible.
I think everybody would recognize that cost of living, particularly gasoline prices, and
I think everybody can relate to that.
But it goes not only to the gasoline prices. Your Tim Hortons coffee is costing you more every day too.
Your heat, your oil, your food.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
it's across the board. Our retirees, the people that built our companies, built our unions, have also been taking a hit. The way we look at it from our point of view is we would rather the present day workers take a hit than the people who built everything that we've built. That being said, our retirees have taken a hit as well. For the longest time, we paid 35 cents a prescription. Now we pay 10% up to X amount of dollars per year. It's close to $300 now. And some people will say that, oh, there he is, the greedy union guy, saying that, oh, he's crying over $300. But I'll tell you, when you go from, as a retiree, paying 35 cents for 10 years of retirement to all of a sudden paying $300, you notice it. When your pension cost of living doesn't go up to meet what's going on and you're on a fixed income, that makes it hard.
And I think a lot of people can relate to that. But tell me, Edie, with the decrease in manufacturing, the decrease in your membership, is a labor union still relevant today?
Well, so I'm not in the manufacturing industry, actually. I'm in the public service. So I'm one of those.
So yours is increasing.
Well, no, we're losing a lot of members. So I'll give you an example.
No, but I mean, just generally, though, speaking about the labor movement, is it relevant today, or is it just the fact that those jobs are disappearing?
Okay, so let's look at Walkerton, for example.
Okay.
You take away the water inspectors because we have too many people die. So then they hire more inspectors. I personally am a transportation enforcement officer, so I do the mechanical safeties on the transport trucks on Ontario highways. Everybody wants to be able to travel our highways and get home safe. The big news a few years ago, we didn't have many members. They had cut back on the number of officers. The wheel-offs were happening. People were dying on Ontario roads. We hire more officers. What's going to be next? Ministry of Agriculture, perhaps? You know, they're trying to remove those regulations. So we go back in there and say, you know, when you look at me as a public servant, I'm there to keep you safe on the road. Or, you know, my friend from Environment is there so that you can turn on your tap water and drink it. Those are important to people, and they don't always put two and two together.
So in the public service, when you aren't competing against other people doing safety checks on trucks on highways, is there really a need for a union in a business that does not have competition? And I guess that's part of what the U.S. is going through now, trying to take away those public service bargaining rights.
Well, here's the thing. When you go to a corporate type structure, the bottom line is the dollar and how much the CEO is going to get and what his bonus is going to be. When you're paying...
And excuse me, just and what the people who are retired and have invested in the company are going to get. Because
Fair
that's
enough.
part of it.
Okay. Whereas my bottom line is keeping people safe, right? I don't look at the number, right? What does it take to make sure that you can travel Ontario highways and come home safe and alive? What does it take to make sure that the water we're drinking isn't going to kill us? What do we need to make sure inspectors are out there inspecting our meat plants to make sure that we're not going to get listeria? You can't put a price tag on that. People know the cost of things, they don't always understand the value.
But is that a rationale for having a union in the public service? And I know a number of years back, Mike Harris tried to take away a lot of those jobs and rights of the public service.
Yes, by changing the Crown Employees Collective Bargaining Act.
And you weren't quiet about it.
No, we weren't. There's actually a charter challenge going on with that right now.
Oh, can you talk about that a little bit?
Not really.
No? Oh, it's that new. It's that new.
Yeah.
So you do feel that there is still a need for a union in an atmosphere of public service.
I really do, because when I go to my employer and I make a statement, I, the individual, am dismissed. When I go to the table and I say, you know, our 120,000 members feel this way, people stand up and they listen.
Dave, why, if you look at Honda and Toyota who don't have unions, and you look at Ford, Chrysler, and GM who do, why don't Honda and Toyota have them if labor protects those groups of individuals? So why doesn't Honda and Toyota have them?
Well, I'll tell you, Mark, I think the big fear with Honda and Toyota unionizing and getting a workforce that's organized is the same thing that we have with Walmarts. If you look to Quebec, when Joliet, Quebec had a new Walmart going in place and they tried to unionize, all Walmart did was walk in and close it, and they said that that the community wasn't big enough to keep it. I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that they didn't want a union in there. Walmart has historically been anti-union as long as they've been around. They're not one of the richest corporations in the world for helping their employees. The employees that work at Walmart are generally low paid, low benefits, and they work in a stressful environment. I look at the unions. I look at the union that I come from. I have health and safety. I have health and safety care for not only myself, for the private sector, for the public sector, and the Hondas and the Toyotas of the world have the same health and safety provisions because of some of the things that the unions have done. Exactly. Yeah. The unions have been there to fight for. We actually, Edie and I were both at a anti-SCAB legislation at the House of Commons. At Queen's Park in April, and it was defeated. But we continue to fight to try to make it better for everybody to work, to have better living conditions, to have health and safety, to have health care, benefits, pensions, etc., etc. But that's what we're there for. We're there to protect not just our people, but we're there to make life better for everybody else around us.
And talking about that anti-SCAB legislation, Edie, why do you think it wasn't passed if it was so beneficial?
I think the general public kind of misunderstands it, and they group it back into that whole business unionism thing, right? It's only for them. The reality is, unions oftentimes set the standard for what the wages are going to be. As in your example, right? When you guys got cut back, what did the other company do? Did they continue to pay those wages? No. They cut back too, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's out there. I think in the broader social unionism, for example, the things that I'm involved in through our women's committee, right?
Yes.
Pay equity, for example. Women in Ontario.
That should be everybody's issue.
It should be, absolutely. Women statistically make 29% less than men in this province.